You with us here on News Desk. The problem of graduate unemployment has been in existence for a long time. This has become pronounced with more private universities springing up and the job market getting choked. The issues have been compounded by the fact that many employers complain graduates are not trained for the job market. About 250,000 young people enter Ghana's labor market annually, but less than 5,000, that is just 2%, are able to find employment in the formal sector. This therefore leaves about 98% unemployed or to survive in the informal sector on unsecured income. In its bid to help graduates and reduce this trend, the University of Ghana Business Incubation Center will be holding a series of programs targeted at graduates. This project seeks to implement a strategy to promote economic opportunities for the youth in Ghana, and we would want to delve a bit more deeper into this issue. This center incubation, going to incubate the students, has it come handy? Is a time and just so appropriate? To help us go through this issue, I have been joined by Jocelyn Bachman. She is the Director, Counseling and Placement Center, University of Ghana. Welcome, lady. All right, so I also have with us in the studio Ebenezer Botwe, CEO, Brain Development Institute Limited. Welcome, Ebenezer.
Thank you.
Right, so let's just go straight. Concerns subject thoughts in our schools, demands on the job market. How is the relation like? Because I remember I have learned courses right from my elementary school that I feel today that it was just a bother. Am I right about that feeling?
Well, first of all, let me just clarify something.
Okay.
It was mentioned that the University of Ghana Business Incubation, we're not an incubation center yet. It's just the Counseling and Placement Center, trying to bring some of the principles of incubation into our practices, just to support our students. So we like to call it enterprise zone, just for now. Yes.
Okay, right. Thank you for the correction.
Yes, but thank you also for the question. I wouldn't say it was a bother, because I believe that knowledge is always important. It comes in handy at some point when you never thought about it. But really what we realized is, as you kept mentioning, the unemployment rates are getting higher and higher, and there aren't that many jobs out there. And so we've been having discussions, with various stakeholders, and we realized that, let me take us back, we did an industry academia forum earlier this year. And some of the issues that came up was to set up this enterprise zone so that we give students the opportunity to try their hands at some of the practices that happen in the workplace. And in so doing, we believe that either we might help them create jobs, or we might help them, equip them with employability skills. So whichever way, they are going to win, because they can either create their own jobs, employ others, or they are much more marketable on the job market. And so that's what we're doing, and we believe that this is just to complement their classroom education.
What really has called for this whole thing? Because for me, if the subjects we learn in school meet the job demand, should this be necessary, really?
Well, don't forget that we also have a challenge on our hands, and that being, yes, there are many private tertiary institutions, but still, Ghana is growing. And so the challenge is that you may have large class sizes. So you cannot put to practice every single business practice that, the students need to know, which is why we have come in, as a center to complement that, so that whatever they learn in the classroom, we give them the opportunity to try their hands out, to practice it outside the classroom, where they are not being marked, where they are just learning the business principles, and then they're in a position to try it out, make mistakes, and learn from their mistakes, so that then when they move out into the job market, they can do a better job.
Okay, you want to comment on that, or I can just go?
Oh, you can go ahead. I agree with whatever she said.
Okay.
Our collaboration is to make sure that, as she said, we have a hands-on environment that's been created, so that students, whatever you're being taught, you can come to the center, and we help you to have a hands-on experience in whatever you do.
Okay, so would you say because the graduates lack entrepreneurial skills, that is why they are not able to be independent and probably start small jobs on their own, or is because accessing the loans or grants is just so difficult, it's hard to set yourself up?
Well, I would say that's partly true, but I would say that it's not everybody that's cut up to build a business for themselves. We have those that have the acumen to do so. So with those that have that, we are here to make sure that we can sharpen their skills up. Okay. Give them the necessary business skills and tools and support that they are needed to help make sure that they can form their businesses as well. But the financial aspect that you just said, we have the conception that you need money to make sure that a business can be built. It's not always the case. With what we are doing, we take the students through a series of trainings. Okay. And these trainings will help put away that notion that you need money to set up all businesses. Specifically,
what kind of training are they taking through?
For example, when you have an idea that you think you want to form a business, everybody thinks their ideas are the best and it should work. But we found that that's not always the case. If you have an idea that you want to turn that into a business, somebody should be willing to pay money for that service or product that you are thinking of, for you to be in business. Sure. So if that is not the case, you go quickly out of business. We do something called ideation. Okay. And what we do is that we'll make sure that idea that you've brought in, we check to see that will somebody pay for it.
Is there demand for that?
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. Before we move into the creating of that business entity that you're thinking of.
Basically, they are being taught to identify a demand already on the market, then try to work to meet that demand. Is that what
that's part of it?
Okay.
The ideation is just a small bit of what we do, but it forms an important part of what we're doing. So if there is a demand for whatever you want to do as an entrepreneur, then we move you through the processes that has to go through. For example, most of the students that want to be entrepreneurs haven't had any experience in that field. So, and believe you me, if you haven't had an experience as an entrepreneur, you can easily fail. Okay. That's where we come in. We'll take the student through what we call mentorship. Then we have people or seasoned entrepreneurs that have already done it. Okay. That will help these students to shape up whatever they have in mind. Then when we finish through with the event, we don't just leave them. We'll take them through a series of things. We are looking forward to building an incubation center at Legon. Okay. Then you can, the students will be there.
What would the incubation center be about? What are you going to incubate?
It's the business idea that we're going to incubate. Because once you've come up with that idea, you need to develop that idea into an income generation venture. Okay. Now, do we have the resources to, as individuals, or I'm referring to the students, do they have the resources to set up on their own? Maybe they need even an accountant, a legal advisor. Do they have money to pay for all these? Okay. Do they have the office space? They cannot afford all these things when they are starting out. Yeah. And so the center basically is going to help them with some basic training. That's one, entrepreneurial skills, entrepreneurial training, and even just where to go to register your business, what to do when you want customers, you know, all those little things they may not know. Okay. And don't forget, this is not just for business students. We are cutting across all this, the entire student body. So somebody with archaeology, with Swahili, with history, classics, if you identify a business, whether within your course or outside your course, for instance, somebody in archaeology might decide that I want to develop some tourist centers in Ghana for, you know, the tourist market. How do I go about it? Yeah. Then we can help them carve that into a business model and try to market it. So there's somebody going to give you that support, but also probably office space. We may have an office space where if you need to meet your investors or you need to meet your potential market clients or something, then you can come in and talk to them. Okay. And if you need advice as well, maybe we have a legal practitioner on our team. Yeah. We have business lecturers on our team. We have practitioners on our team. Okay. And so they will come in and maybe help you with marketing, help you with publicity, whatever it is you need, that will help the business to grow.
I'll be revisiting that topic. There are a few questions I would like to ask from there, but we have also been joined online, on phone, by an educationist in the person of Anis Hafa. Anis, thank you so much for joining us here on Newsdesk.
You're most welcome.
Okay, so we are looking at the issue of graduate unemployment, and we're wondering, would you say our education system should start at the primary stage, giving students career guidance?
Exactly. I think you are addressing the issue heads on, and I'm glad you're doing it, and you need to be commended for it.
Thank you.
Now, my concern is that many times we wait too late to begin to involve young people in a kind of entrepreneurial activities that we're talking about. Now, my training in the United States with what we call the gifted and talented education starts with P1, class 1. Right from there, where we try to look at particular projects that children themselves can do. It starts from class 1, so that by the time they are in JHS, they've done it to a greater extent. By the time they are in the senior high school, they've continued in a way that's appreciable. By the time they get into the university level, they have an idea of exactly what it is that they want to do, and it's not new to them. Now, when you start with class 1, this is what you do. These are particular projects, mostly science-based, where children are given the opportunity to begin to explore their interests. Now, when they come up at the end of the year with particular findings, then these children, as small as they are, some of them don't even have fun, begin to assess themselves by demonstrating to the wider audience exactly what their themes are, what their interests are, and it really is a big deal where blue ribbon prizes are given to young people. What I'm suggesting is that this is the time for us to begin to introduce such innovations. They are innovations to us now, but they are not innovations in others. So we want to consistently look at best practices in the world in terms of how we can get young people to be innovative, to be creative, and to look at themselves as beyond just the theories. Now, that's the first part, the aspect of it. The other aspect, I think the lady was discussing it, is where at the university level, we now have introduced what we call innovation labs. And then we can really tune into Harvard, some of the innovation schemes that they have there for young people, as far as bringing together like-minded people who are interested in particular ideas to create services that have never been created before, to create products that have never been created before, and then surround themselves with all the elements that will make them successful. You know, what we need to do now at the university level is that many times the lecturing is a bit too much. We have to begin to also look at hands-on type activities. Because how does someone become an entrepreneur? By listening to lectures. People become entrepreneurs by being problem solvers. These are the things that we really have to begin to institute into our university. Many times, you know, when we are looking for lecturers and professors and so on, we tend to focus too much on research of this and research of that and so on. The time has come where we have to begin to bring in practitioners, people who have hands-on credibility because they've done things that are visible in society. We want the captains of industry. These are people that now we have to begin to also induct into education process so that we can begin to minimize the lectures and begin to focus on the hands-on activities. Now, let me ask you this. You realize how difficult it will be for a young person who is either 21, 22, or 23, who has been sitting and listening to lectures all their life, suddenly to become entrepreneurs? That is really shooting ourselves in the foot. But since these discussions are now taking place, we have to begin to understand the modality of starting young people right from the beginning. We have to begin to understand the instructional strategy that will engineer people's minds towards being entrepreneurs through the ability to solve problems, through the ability to develop services, and through the ability to develop products. These are the 21st century skills as we go on. So I'm glad that this discussion is taking place. But the young people need help. We cannot train people as if they are going to work in a civil service, because the civil service is already bloated. We cannot train people to be in the public services all the time. But now we have to begin to also look at how even the innovations can translate into industry, into production, how we can begin to now develop instructional strategies that will lead people naturally as entrepreneurs. These are the challenges of the 21st century, and I'm glad that you're talking about them now.
We seem to have found ourselves in some kind of web. Is there any hope for our graduates who are still yet to complete? There are more enrolled and are yet to come out. Is there any hope?
You know, when you are an educator, you are eternally optimistic. So there's always hope. But the hope has to be grounded in reality. So that's what I would suggest to you. every young person has to begin to define a question that solves a problem. You know, I'll give you an idea. Once I was at the University of Ghana, you know, in the bookstore, and I wanted to go into the bathrooms there. And I'm telling you, there was no water to flush the toilet. Meanwhile, when I walked down the hallway, there was a water chamber. The pipes were broken, and people were just walking around it. Right across the road, we have, how do you call it? We have a faculty of applied sciences. You know, we have to have the linkages that serve a certain purpose. Because what is the point in studying theology or psychology or linguistics or applied sciences if you cannot apply the water into your own toilet to flush them? You see, these are the bigger pictures that we have to begin to look at. Also, when you even begin to look at the amount of dust that blows into the government offices and that blows into our computer systems, that settles on desks and tables, there have to be solutions to these things. And after the solutions is where we begin to develop entrepreneurs. The other thing I also suggest to the young people is this. Look at the government and the public establishments that we have. You can take in a piece of paper to any of our some of our ministries, go back in a week, and they will not be able to retrieve that piece of information for you. So even the element of digitization of government paper, what we call paperless offices, these are all services that have to be inculcated into the educational system, so that not only are we sitting in lecture rooms listening to lectures, somewhere along the line, we are engaged in practical abilities that at the end of the day can translate into a viable profession. These are the things that we have to begin to look at in the 21st century. Our young people, as soon as possible, have to learn to be problem solvers. And like you asked earlier, the earlier they start, so it becomes part of the ethos of the educational services that we provide, the better it will be for the young people. And at the end of the day, it will give self-fulfillment for the individual and self-fulfillment for the communities in which you live, and then translate into the bigger picture of productivity and prosperity for the whole nation.
Would you say attitude has formed the major part of this problem?
Do your question again, please.
I'm asking, would you agree that attitude has formed the major part of this problem?
But you see, I mean, use the word. Attitude has to be tied to a purpose. Now, human beings, we are crafted such that we need to see the meaning of what we are saying, we are studying. We need to see the purpose for which we are studying. What we do in this culture is that we teach abstractions. All day long, anytime we listen to a lecture, we are teaching our abstraction. Somewhere along the line, we have to start from the concrete and develop our attitudes along the lines of concreteness, because concreteness is exactly what we go to market as a problem-solving solution. So the attitude has to be embedded into the instructions themselves. That is why we cannot continue in the 21st century teaching the way we were taught years back, because things have changed. Government cannot continue employing people. We have to now begin to look at how we can develop entrepreneurs, and the best entrepreneurs are problem solvers. So the attitude of education itself has to be part of the vision of the universities. Attitude itself has to be part of the mission statement of the universities themselves, so that when we come out, we are emboldened by the attitude which has been processed through our system by virtue of having gone through the university education system.
Please don't go yet. Let me quickly come back to studio and also take a few reactions from them. Jocelyn, Anis, I saw you in agreement, both of you, and you seem to really enjoy what Anis is talking about. Yes?
Certainly, we do. And from my point of view, the main thing is, let's not forget that we have a challenge. For instance, the University of Ghana is a public institution. And so if at the start of the year, you get a quota for how many students you need to take in, then you might have a class size as large as 400 students in one class. It becomes difficult for you to implement everything.
Okay.
But that's why we've started from somewhere, and we decide that, okay, let's start with those few that have the idea, that have the acumen, that want to participate, and we'll do that. But what I want to point out that it's a larger problem as a nation. Because if as a nation, and I'm not trying to criticize anybody, I'm just looking at it from the policy side, that if as a nation we have a developmental plan, then we have a manpower plan that feeds into that development plan. And then what it means is that at the primary level, this is what we expect you to do. At the secondary level, this is what we expect you to do. Then at the tertiary level, this is what we expect you to do. If we have that plan and everybody is feeding into that plan, then you realize that, as Hane said, at the primary level, what can we do to give children that problem-solving skills even at that tender age? And so what we're doing is, and don't forget that we've come here, but from the center as well perspective, what we've done is we try to reach out to some secondary schools, some JHS, and we say, okay, this is what we offering. I mean, even from career planning. So we've been to a few. Not everybody, you cannot cover everywhere, but from time to time, if we get an offer or we propose and we say, we want to talk to you about career planning. What do you want to do? So that if you know yourself, and I keep coming back to the fact that not everybody is cut out for entrepreneurial skills or for entrepreneurship. But basically, whatever it is you're doing, whichever area you find yourself, you need to excel, you need to shine. So if you know what you're doing, if you know yourself that this is the area that I'm going to excel in, just naturally out of your passion, out of your personality and interest, you realize that you are the artistic type. How best can we shape that and sharpen those skills for you to excel as an artist? Or if you find that you're the scientific type, what can we do to help you excel as a scientist? Do you get me? So it's a broader picture that we need to feed into.
Let me take you back to my school days. I remember going for a career guidance counseling session, and there are a lot of us in the session, so you don't even get the opportunity to ask a question and get an answer. So at the end of the day, it is another lecture where I don't benefit. The core benefits of the lecture, I don't get it. So is it like, what are we doing? Are we still going with that method where you group the students and you give a lecture and you feel satisfied that you've exhausted everything on your paper and so you've guided the children, where the children seated listening to you just listen to a tune being played in their ears?
And that's why I was saying that if we have that manpower plan, you realize that for career counseling, probably the class size shouldn't be more than 10 or 20 or 30. So with that, at the primary level or at the JHS level, at the tertiary levels, secondary level, we, of course, as the higher the students go, they can take the class sizes might differ. But what you realize is that, yes, there's a classroom one where you're teaching maths, English, science, and everything. But beyond that, when you come to career guidance class, it shouldn't be over a certain size. So that it means maybe some training should be given to school counselors, so that they have that perspective in mind. When they are offering guidance, they don't do, in my secondary school, I mean, it wasn't even a class. You had to go and ask. And some of us didn't even know we could go and ask. Do you get me? But if that, and it was just a teacher, not a counselor. So just one teacher who has been appointed, so you can go and see them as and when. But if there is actually a counselor in every school, feeding off the manpower plan, then we know that for every 200 students, you need one counselor. So for a school of 500, you need maybe 2 or 2.5. Or, do you get me? So all these things come back to our lack of manpower plan. And so as a country, they
basically
so as a country, the institutions are teaching, doing their own thing. Employers are also looking for their own thing. But we haven't met that gap. We haven't bridged that gap yet, and that's what we are seeking to do by at least starting from somewhere. We know we cannot do everything, but starting from somewhere, helping identify those issues, which we did through the forum, and then now we are taking steps to bridge that gap. And so we are using people from industry, we're using practitioners, as well as academics to help us fill that gap.
Yes, Ivan.
Well, I was listening to, and he's talked about problem solving, innovation, creativity, and everything. And that is what we do at Brain Development Institute. We specialize in helping kids to make sure that they have developed that side of the brain. As he spoke, I heard so many things about the curriculum and how it only helps to do some things in that is lecture based. But what we do is that we help children to make sure that they are using all the sides of the brain, so that they can think, they can innovate, they can solve problems. See, that's what is translated into what our collaboration with the University of Ghana to make sure that not only are we training these kids in the secondary level, so something is being done at the secondary and the primary level, but it's not on the national scale that we are all looking for.
Okay.
And it's my hope and it's my prayer that if the Minister of Education is listening to us today, he may say, okay, why not sit down with us and show us what you're doing? That we can help more people to be problem solvers, people to be more innovative, people to be more creative.
I'm sure he's heard you, so that'll be his response. Anis, hello, Anis. Let me find out from you. Don't you think some policies that may be in our education sector has also not been helpful?
You know, when it comes, always refrain from those blame games. Let's look at a couple of issues that the lady raised. But one of the first things she said was that there has to be some kind of plan as far as how we progress from the elementary school into secondary school and so on. Now, that should be a project. That should be done by the students themselves. And then forward that to the Ministry of Education. I don't think we should make that the sole responsibility of just one side of a stakeholder entity. The students can do that on a project basis. Now, the other question, the other issue she raised was that there are 400 students in a particular lecture. Now, that is a great opportunity to diversify the instructional methodology itself. Now, when I look at 400 students, I'm not just looking at numbers. I'm looking at the manpower potential of 400 people who can be employed to do things along the lines of problem solving. So, again, there's a way to teach one person. There's a way to teach 50 people, and there's a way to teach 1,000 people, and of course, there's a way to teach 400 people. But the most important thing is that we have to begin to develop methodologies where we can deploy every one of the 400 students in a productive venture, besides sitting and listening to lectures. Those days are gone. What I'm saying is that for 1 hour of lecture, we have to begin to look 2 hours of practice, you know? And also now, even when it comes to lectures, now, when you begin to look at best practices, these lectures are posted on the websites of the school. Every course should have a website where, if it's YouTube, whatever it is, the lectures are planted there so that students can take it upon themselves to listen to the lectures at their own time. But when we come back, we are not coming to listen to lectures anymore. We are going to summarize the lectures in a very critical fashion, but that should direct us to things that we're going to do with the essence of the lectures themselves. Now, what I'm saying is that the time has come where our lecturers and professors and the rest of them have to begin to retool, that we cannot continue doing the same old things the same old way. We have to bring in the element of practice. That is very, very important. And guess what? These things do not happen by themselves. There has to be a national program in terms of how we're going to raise our young people not to be sitters, but to be doers. That is the key thing. It's easier to teach theory, but that's why we do it all the time. But now it's a little bit more difficult to teach practice. That is why we have to now, I think the lady said it, we have to now bring in captains of industry. And we also have to begin to induct people who have track record of getting things done so they can begin to inspire the young people to be like them. You know, you don't want to inspire someone to be a talker. You want to inspire our students to be doers. These are the things that have to be ingrained in the ethos and the psyche of the students that we are teaching. And you will see the difference in 5 years when young people take it upon themselves to become problem solvers and not just wait to go and sit in lectures, listen to those lectures, and reproduce the same lectures for exam purposes for certificates. We are really destroying a crop of potentially capable and able young people in this country.
Well spoken. And let me also try to find out, can we achieve all you have said without the politician?
Without what?
The politician. No matter what government is political, can we achieve all you have said without the politician?
Look, somewhere along the line, we all have to be activists. Activists directed in the right direction with meaning and with purpose. And it starts in no better place than the student population itself. You know, many times I see young people go on strikes and doing things and destroying things. Those days are gone. Now we have to be functional. We have to be professional. We have to be ethical. We have to be moral in terms of how we package what needs to be done in this country. And it will not be a bad idea for young people to lead the march. Remember, when we talk about the Freedom March in the United States, the bulk of it was done by students. Obama became president not because he was changing the politicians, but he was changing the mindset of the young people in the universities. Look, if you look at, we have about, I don't know how many, we have about 30, 40, or 50,000 students in this country. That is manpower. What are they doing? Look at the number of children that we have sitting behind desks, listening. What else can they do? You know, again, the classic example I give is Lee Kuan Yew. There's a chapter in his book, From Third World to First World, where he, in chapter 13, he talks about the greening of Singapore. Now, why are our schools sitting in dust? Students should address those questions. What is the role that they have to play? You know, why are the universities littered with trash? Students should lead that crusade. Why do our elementary schools and secondary schools sit in dust? The students should lead those crusades, and then the politicians will listen. Many times, we set our own responsibilities, we put them aside, and point fingers at some big authority somewhere, what we call the Superman. We don't have Superman in this country. The Superman is every single individual who is involved in education in this country. So part of the education structure itself should be, what today are we going to do to clean our environment? What today are we going to do to repair our desks? What today are we going to do that's innovative? All of that is part of what should be a bona fide, legitimate instructional activity. And in 5 years, this country will change.
Anis, thank you so much. Anis is an educationist. Anis Hafahi joined us to also share in the issue at stake, graduate unemployment. Many of our university graduates complete each year and they have to battle to find themselves on the job market. Either they don't fit in there, they lack the entrepreneurial skills to fit in, or some other challenges that all contribute to make it very difficult. And as a result, to take a look at that to make sure that this problem eventually is resolved, that is why we have Jocelyn and Ebenezer join us in studio with an upcoming project, that incubation at the University of Ghana. So let me quickly just try and find out a bit more about that project and who gets to benefit and how exactly it's going to help solve the issue. We've been talking about it anyway, but let me quickly try to find out a bit more about the project.
Well, the project, previously it was done, we had about 20 students. This time we are trying to open it up to about 100 students, hoping that if we put them in groups of 5, then we can look at about 20 companies that will come out of that project. And it's open to our students, University of Ghana students.
Let me get it right. So if you have 100 students, they are to come up with a company kind of idea, what they can sell, and not necessarily you attaching them to companies.
Well, it starts with them coming up with an idea. And then together they look at the idea, see how best they can, you know, develop the idea into an income generation venture. That's
are you giving them the idea, or they are
coming up with their ideas, but they'll be given guidance to make that idea more feasible. And then they'll be given they'll be attached to mentors who will hold their hand and show them where to go, how to carve that idea, how to develop that idea into a business. And so we're hoping that through that they'll get the guidance they need to run their business. Now at the end of it all, either the business will grow into something bigger, that's what we hope, or some of the members might decide to go and find a job. But they would have acquired the necessary skills to thrive and to do better and to excel on the job that they find. And so ultimately, that's what we're hoping to do.
Okay, so when is this really taking place?
It's taking place between the 12th to the 14th of March next year.
Next year.
And before that, we'll be doing a launch, which will happen on the 6th of February. Then, after the launch, we'll move on to a one-day seminar, which everybody that has applied or registered will look through them, then we'll invite them for a one-day seminar.
Okay, so I was going to ask, what's the mode of the criteria for selection? And everybody who would have applied, so how are we getting on board?
We open it up to the students at Legon. Then those that have graduated from 3 years from now. Everybody is free to apply.
Strictly University of Ghana, Legon if you completed 3 years ago,
Exactly.
you qualified to be part of this project.
Exactly.
Okay, right. So, and in the end, we hope to get companies coming up.
Exactly.
We hope so, yes.
As you said earlier, we've already done something in January.
Okay.
And we succeeded in creating 4 companies, which are doing well.
Okay, I see. That's a big project, huh? So, how about those who completed 4 years ago? You've left them on to their fate.
Well, we have to start from somewhere. We
Exactly.
cannot reach out to everybody.
Everyone.
And so
Okay.
we realize that there's a higher possibility for those within the last 3 years not to have found a job. But 4 years ago, some of them would have, or they are looking at other things. So we thought, let's look at those within the last 3 years. So those who are currently students but can afford to balance their studies and this work life.
Okay.
So, because it's going to be quite demanding, we are putting out, we are calling for those who are interested. And then we'll have the launch in February, as he said. Then in March, we actually take them through a workshop. And then we streamline it further. Then the rest will go into a boot camp, where then the mentors are going to come in and help them cover. So that's from the 12th to the 14th of March.
How are you doing the selection? Since you're going to drop some people means that then something is going to be looked at. So what exactly, what is the criteria?
With the criteria, as I said, we are looking for people that have entrepreneurial acumen. By that, we'll look at your CV that you send in. We see that whether you've done something entrepreneurial in nature, or you've joined a group, you've formed an association, you've sold something before.
Okay,
I mean,
so it's strictly entrepreneurial, nothing corporate. For instance, we would have had somebody who would have worked, kind of done internships in the corporate environment, not really an entrepreneurial hand skill something, but basically corporate, but hasn't been absorbed into the system, so still practically feeds himself or herself. How about those people?
Yeah, all those are included, because even as a student, for you to realize that I'll need a part-time job to help me feed myself, it's somebody with that mentality.
Exactly.
Probably it's just the exposure that you haven't had yet. And so we look at all those. We also look at the business idea that you're bringing. Is it just you dreamt and woke up and thought, oh, I'm going to do this? Or does it actually have some business potential in there? And so we're looking at the skills that you have, the ideas that you're bringing on board, and what you're actually looking to do out of that. And so we take you through a series of tests, a series of assessments, just to learn more about you. And then your ability even to work in a team is very important, because you're going to work in a team of 5. Can you cope, working with others? So there are lots of things we're looking at, but we just want to open it out to everybody, because you don't put yourself out until, you've been told that you don't have it. And if we tell you you don't have it, we might give you some pointers as to what you need to do to build on yourself, so that the following time you can qualify when you apply.
Okay. Let me also try to find out. You spoke about your counseling center offers office space and all, especially when you have been able to come up with ideas that can sell. You afford the space for them to also come in, and so you need to meet clients and all. You can come into the office space. My worry there was, won't people take advantage? So I come with a very brilliant idea, but in my heart, that's not, it's not genuine. So I go negotiate and bring people, this is the office, and by the time I get the financial aspect of it, I'm lost.
Oh. Well, the center doesn't have the space.
Okay.
We are just using the University of Ghana assets or properties that we have. And so let's say we might find one office in one department. They say, we'll give that out to you for the semester or for the year. And don't forget, this is a group work. There's 5 of you. So it's not just one person just coming to hide in that office to do your own thing. And you have a mentor that's guiding you. That mentor is reporting to us. We are observing you. We're giving you support. And so it's not just one person that will come and do shady business. And they are not giving you the money, just here, 100,000, go and work with it. You prepare your proposal. We look at the proposal, look at the budget, your cash flow, forecast and everything, by a practitioner. And so once they look at this and they say, work out this, work out that, we've got people with financial background looking at all this, then the money is going to be given to you in tranches, depending on what you're using it for. So you need to justify why you need that amount of money. And it's not coming to you. It's we are using systems in place where the money might even go to the supplier directly, for the job delivered, or a part of it deliver and we give you the rest. So there are checks and balances in place to help us out.
Okay, that sounds more satisfying. All right, so we're just about wrapping up on this conversation, but really, I really hope that your wings will spread wide to the very basic level, because the problem starts from there.
Thank you very much. We'll try. And we hope that we'll be giving the support, the needed support, because we cannot do it on our own. We're a public institution. We don't have any funds coming in. We're just reaching out to our corporate Ghana, people and saying, come and help us, come and support us, so that the students that we bring out to you are students that you can actually work with, that can help you move your business forward.
I'm looking forward to the day teachers would go on strike because policies that will help shape the children are not made yet.
Probably, you never know. But we hope that the policies will be in place before teachers get that opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So we have been talking to Jocelyn Bachman. She is the Director, Counseling and Placement Center, University of Ghana. And Ebenezer Botwe, he is the CEO, Brain Development Institute Limited. We have been talking about our future, the young graduates who come out of school and they are jobless. Well, now there is hope. They are setting up an incubation center which is going to incubate whatever entrepreneurial skills these students have to make sure that when they come out, they are not jobless anymore and that there is hope. They would be working on that. So let me just do this favor. That is our little support from Joy News on Multi TV. That's to make sure that you, if you completed 3 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago, and you are jobless, this is an opportunity for you. So quickly take this number, 0243 133 297. It's an opportunity for you. Please, if 4 years ago, don't waste your time. 3 years, 2 years, a year ago, this is an opportunity for you. We're creating jobs for you. So pick the number 0243 133 297. Please pick the number and get yourself a job. You could also call 0508 11 3218. 0508 11 3218. That is a job I just offered to you. When we come back, we are going to look deeper into the so-called witches we have. They claim there are witches. Could that be true? And so they are camped. Well, fortunately, the good news is that those camps, one of them is going to be closed down. We look forward to that, but stay with me. I'll show you when and how this is going to be possible.